Hey guys, I just wanted to reach out to you and let you know that Surewinder is still selling amazing products. Some of you guys have been dragging your feet for whatever reason. If your shoulder hurts, do not waste time. Pull the trigger. I just bought 4 or 5 of them, and we had 2 guys out. You know how much it cost me to pay for 2 guys being out with bad shoulders? We just pulled the trigger and we said, listen, everybody's going to have one on a truck. It's mandatory. You got to use it. Don't hesitate. Don't wait till your guys go down. It's going to cost you more. Buy a Surewinder.
What is up, Door Nation? This is Ryan, Torsion Talk podcast. Now, I've taken the last few weeks off. Why is that important for you? I've been doing tons of research on AI. And, well, you know what? Before I get into that, let me share a couple announcements. First of all, we got 2 tickets left for Summit. If you are interested in getting inspired and coming back with actionable steps to grow your business and be a better business leader, this is the event for you. So that's number 1. Number 2, you may be able to get a tax deduction on this. Check with your CPA. If you do it today, which is Tuesday, the day that we announced or launched this podcast, you might be able to squeeze this in for 2024. So if you got a bunch of profits and you're looking to spend some, and give it to me instead of the tax man. And then also go on an amazing trip to Puerto Rico. Bring your spouse, bring your family, whatever you want to do. We've booked one of the, if not the best resorts in all of Puerto Rico. It's absolutely gorgeous. It's a golf community, beautiful pool, beautiful views, palm trees, absolutely gorgeous. So check that out. You can go to garagedoorsummit.com. We've got some amazing speakers lined up for you. So that's 1. Number 2, virtual door dealer conference was amazing. If you guys missed it, man, you missed it. If you missed it, you should have FOMO right now. This event was absolutely freaking incredible. My team pulled off an amazing event. Kristen Hadid did a phenomenal job. So don't miss the next one. We're going to start doing them a little bit more often. So we also have had a huge demand. I've been getting hit up a lot lately on continuing my sales training. We haven't done them in like 5-6 months, but we're going to go to virtual and we're going to deep dive even more. I always rush those trainings a little bit and pack them into like a day and a half because people were flying in and we were trying to make it as short as humanly possible. So I don't want to rush them. I want to take my time. I want to make it interactive. So we're going to go into a more of a virtual live event, and then make it a little bit cheaper because I think we should and could do that. So if you're interested in that, hit me up. Let me know. We'll also be announcing that. So follow us on social media for upcoming announcements on those as well. All right. As I was saying, I've taken like the last 10 days off. I'm taking off the next week. Kind of, sort of. I mean, I'm driving my family crazy. So I think they've asked me to just go away. So what I've been doing is deep diving till like 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, waking up early, researching all this stuff about AI and technology advancement. And let me tell you, like, this is what I love to do. My background is software. So I know very well technology terms, developers, development, what capabilities are available. So I can read the technical jargon and then digest it and then communicate it very clearly. And this is what made me a really successful director of sales at a software company, because I was able to sit in the room with the most advanced, most technical developers, product developers, and have them talk and me digest all of that, put it through a funnel and be able to communicate it in layman's terms to business owners and marketing directors who weren't specifically very technically savvy. So my goal in this podcast is to basically do the same. And I'm going to do a series on AI for home service companies. And I think this is going to be really beneficial for you, especially if you haven't been keeping up with what's going on in the AI world. So I'm going to do this podcast. It'll be a little bit of a high overview. We'll take some deep dives. But what I plan to do is do a high overview now and then deep dive as we do more podcasts. But this is, guys, something that you really don't want to ignore. I implore you to listen to this podcast through and through and follow along. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast on whatever platform you follow podcast on. We also do these on YouTube. So subscribe to my YouTube channel at Markinuity, Markinuity. Markinuity is my YouTube channel. Make sure you follow there for our podcast and subscribe the notification bell so you get notified every time I upload one of these. Like a YouTuber, like one of my kids' videos. All right. So listen, let's talk about AI. Because this is going to disrupt your life in a big way. If you don't adopt AI for your business over the next 5 years in some form or fashion, you will not be able to compete. One of the great things about technology is over time, it gets cheaper. Right now, AI is not super cheap. It's not cheap to develop. Experts are kind of expensive. There's a lack of people in the marketplace who can actually work with it, and people are learning it, like technical people, developers. They're learning it, learning the capabilities, learning how to manage it, the security of it. And so we're kind of in the preseason of all of this, but this isn't like a normal preseason. So we take like cryptocurrency, for example, like it's a emerging technology, but it took like a really long time for mainstream to like adopt it. That is not the case anymore. AI is already a part of your life now, but it's going to be a greater part of your life within the next 6 months or even a year. And I think as business owners adopt this technology and it gets cheaper over time, what you're going to learn is you're going to be able to run your business in a more streamlined and efficient way, ultimately reducing the cost of running your business. And with that, you can utilize those funds more for growth than operations. So operating a business is about to be cut in half, in my opinion. So if you have a fixed expense of X amount of dollars, obviously we're not going to be able to like replace rent and things like that, but you should be able to reduce overhead in operations in a massive way. So we're going to deep dive into some of these things over the next coming weeks, but I've got an agenda I'm going to try to stay on for you guys. I know I'm not very good at that. I take rabbit trails, but I made some notes just so I could stay intact here. But you're already using AI via your phone. So like you've got Siri that you can chat with. She loves it. You just say her name and she pops up. And you can request anything. Now, when this first came out, we all kind of used it and we're like, this isn't very great. So we kind of dismissed it a little bit. But it was a technology that was pushed out maybe even prior to it being fully developed. But part of the great thing about AI is that it learns and gets better. And as these developers learn how to use it and utilize it and merge it with human tendencies, it continues to get better. So even though it's not perfect and it's not designed to be perfect when it's launched, it learns and gets better. So it's important for you to know that. But we're already using it in voice assistants as well as predictive text. You're seeing it in like chat bots on live chat, texting platforms, things like that already. And it's pretty efficient for that. And if you can get those things to integrate with like systems like your CRM or dispatch software, then these AI assistants can actually take calls and then move them all the way into a booked appointment. And they can do it as good or even better than the people that you've hired already, which is absolutely insane. Now, is it perfect? No, it's not perfect, but it definitely doesn't call in, definitely doesn't get sick. And there's a lot of things that it can do better than your staff, including removing emotion and making it all about the goal of what we're trying to accomplish. So there's some disadvantages too, but we'll go over those later. All right, let's talk about some of the things that you can do with AI for your home service business. Number one, you can create efficiency, automating routine tasks. So you're talking about managing your schedule, your email, automated follow-ups. Now, we have automated follow-ups to a degree. We have to go in and build these elaborate, like if this, then that. And then there's always this disconnect of like accidentally forgetting to remove a tag or whatever. or having automations to remove tags upon actions, but you got this like disconnect of manual and automation. And people tend to get like messages that they shouldn't attend, like get it's kind of a mess and it's not perfect. And obviously, this isn't perfect either. But for some people, it's very daunting trying to create all these manual automations. And it's very difficult in some cases if you don't understand technology. AI, with the press of a button and a little bit of a description, can create all of those for you. And that is part of the genius in this. For something that may take you weeks or months or even years to research and understand, and then actually find the time to implement them, you don't necessarily need to understand them. You just need to understand the idea of them. Then you can put that in a chat request with AI, and AI can then convert that into an actionable step. Implementing these automations for your business with one click of a button. So that is how we can make things more efficient and speed up time. We're talking about things like SOPs as well. I can tell you firsthand, I've created a full blown detailed SOP on systems and processes with my organization within 5 minutes. I wrote my prompt, it spit out answers. I reviewed it, made some adjustments, requested a new one, and got it. Now, in old days, SOPs sometimes were overwhelming, but definitely got put on the back burner a lot of times because we ended up thinking, man, what is there that I'm not thinking of? I want to make sure this is easily trainable. And those are all the things that you should be putting in your prompt as you're working through these things. And we're going to talk about prompts much later, but efficiency is one of the best things that you can use AI for. Customer experience is a total another one. So, as I mentioned earlier, it doesn't call in sick. It always answers the phone, always replies to emails, always responds to texts and chats. I know, for example, like I worked for a software company and we supplied a text and chat platform to automotive dealers and property management companies, right? And one of the things that was the biggest challenge was, how do we always answer these? Because one of the biggest turnoffs for a customer is to actually start a live chat and no one answers, or it takes like forever. And a live chat, unfortunately, like lives on the website. However, that's when they started coming out with these text platforms where you could basically put in your phone number and it converts like a live chat to a text message. Now you can leave the website and go on about your day and receive a message an hour later. And for most people, that's not a huge deal, but for emergency services or things where they may need it now or in the very near future, or just looking for a quick answer, this may not be the best option either. But we're human and we're busy and we can accomplish one task at a time, ultimately requiring us to hire multiple people for, even in some cases, the same job. AI can accomplish many different jobs all at the same time. And that's part of the beauty of AI. And so it can answer the phone, it can do chats, text, email replies, all at the same time. You can receive hundreds in one day and have essentially one chatbot handle all of it, where you would need a dozen or 10 CSRs to be able to handle that type of lead volume in one day. So the customer experience, just by responding and answering, you guys already know. Sometimes when I ask business owners, what's your differentiating factor? You say, we call people back or we answer the phone. Well, that might be a differentiating factor now, but I can assure you it's not going to be one for long, because everyone's going to have it and they're going to have it really, really soon. So if you have that as your main differentiating factor, I would start to look for something else, because that's no longer going to be something that's going to separate you. Now, you could adopt AI and have a full blown service that you offer and be different in your market for a short amount of time. But as people catch on and they learn and tools get developed and they're easier to use for home service business owners, this will no longer be a differentiating factor. I believe everyone's going to shift to this. And if you don't, then you probably will die, your company at least. All right, let's talk about that customer experience also can be very personalized. One thing that I thought about was when people call into like Service Titan and we have their phone number or information in the system, we really can like it'll pull up their card or whatever, right? And give us their name. So now we say, hey, Ryan, thank you for calling. How can we help you today? So that makes it more personable. Like you're calling us back. We've done business with you before. We recognize you. We know who you are. We can start the conversation off very differently than if we just say, hey, thank you for calling Aaron Overhead Doors. How can we help you? And then you have to, hey, this is Ryan. I've been having an issue with my garage door or whatever. And so when you have AI, it can personalize that interaction. If it's had a conversation from that phone before, that email before, that text message before, all that can be personalized and it's picked up and remembers all the previous data. So customer service is great. Now, this might be my very favorite, and this is using AI for growth and development in ourselves, but also growth in your business as well. Not just growth, but like speed of growth. And I think this is going to speed up so many businesses. And like I spend a lot of time with business owners. And over the years, one of the things that I've realized is the difference between the guy with 3 trucks and the guy with 30 trucks is the ability to do a few things. One, lead. So obviously AI can help you in some areas in that, but that's just self-improvement. Number 2, digest data and make decisions. And this is where I think it closes the gap between what you don't know and what you should know and how to act on it. What I mean by that is there's companies with like 3 trucks, right? These guys historically are not analytical guys. Most of the time, they are running the business on gut instinct. And especially the guys that have been there for a long time. The guys who run 30 trucks are willing to spend money not only on themselves, but also on data. They want to know what's going on in their business at all times in real time and make decisions based on data. So with that, I want to share an idea with you. Now, I've been running my own business for quite some time, and I still don't understand every single report within my business or even know all the reports available to me in my business. And that's saying a lot because I'm a little bit of a data junkie and I spend a lot of time digesting data. However, what if data was presented in a completely different way? For example, let's say that when you set up your reports, or let's say you could just have a conversation with AI, like a voice conversation. And I'm going to give you an example. AI. I'm a business owner. What reports should I be watching on a daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, and annually? And it'll spit that out, right? So it'll give you a whole list of things. Now, that's a very wide prompt, and we probably should be like way more specific, but I'm just using this as an example. Then we say, okay, based on these reports, what are the outliers or benchmarks that I am high or in line or low on? And can you break those out and give me any alerts via text message on statistics within a few days of any of these KPIs that are high or low? I don't need alerts on KPIs where I'm within range of another home service company. And then AI can literally text you when your office expense gets above a benchmark of other home service companies, or like your P&L or your cash flow statement can predict, hey, you're going to be tight on cash flow the week of, January 26th because of XYZ. This is the way that data will be presented to us in the very near future. Because of the way AI works, it can scour the web, it can scour your content, and it can set up parameters, highs and lows. It can be kind of like a accounting manager, and not the kind where they've built a business around people and you get your monthly report and possibly a monthly meeting with them, and you're already 30 days late on data, and they may not be giving you good information on details, or they're covering details that aren't important to you, or you can't make the meeting because you're too busy. I mean, imagine real-time updates on data. Sales are slowing down. Phone calls are slower today than usual. We've seen a multi-day trend in a lack of text messages or form fills on your website. Oh, by the way, you have fallen in ranking on some of your primary keywords on Google. I mean, like, hey, you haven't gotten as many reviews from these two technicians as you usually do. Your conversion rate on these services right now are low. Your appointments booked for this particular service is low. You text message comes in and says, hey, you're projected to be a little bit behind on this commercial service at this time this year compared to this time last year. I mean, I can go into a gazillion different scenarios, and your phone may be blowing up if you set it up for like text messages and all this stuff. But could you imagine gathering that data, but then also have an AI suggest ideas to you on actions you can take on that? Game changer. Absolute game changer. I don't even know. The one thing about home service companies is most people don't have like a business degree, and therefore don't know a lot of the business side of the business. AI is going to balance that out. Now, the people with all these degrees, business administration degrees, PhD in business, I don't even know, whatever you got, it doesn't really matter anymore because AI will eventually level the playing field. And all of these guys who have the technical knowledge of the field will now be able to compete with the PhDs of business. And that is the difference maker. Now, the technician who's turning wrenches could be the next $10 million HVAC company or garage door business with very little effort. The startup cost of hiring someone versus having AI answers calls, invoice his jobs, collect money, follow up on appointments. It's about to be a very different game. Now, a startup will be able to scale their business significantly faster and catch up to larger companies significantly quicker. Now, the advantage of being a big business and having AI is you have a database that you can use AI to target on services. The key to this is segmenting that business, and being able to segment it can also be done using AI.
Hey guys, I found something that changed my business and I want to share it with you. We've created packages that have included some of the best products in our industry to offer our service customers. The heart of that package is Stealth Hardware Kit. Stealth Hardware is the quietest hinges on the market. I challenge you to buy at least one of these, test it for yourself. Put it on your truck and design a quiet performance package for your customers willing to pay for a better, smoother running door. Buy your Stealth Hardware Kit at Service Spring, do a search for quiet hinge, and then buy that. You can buy a double or single door, 7 or 8 foot tall, and promise you, it'll change your service forever.
Somer USA and Somer Group want to thank you for an incredible year and the trust you put in them and their products. As you know, Somer places high value on relationships education, customer service, innovation, and professionalism. And they are grateful to you for your part in the fostering and dissemination of these values. If there is any way Somer can support you in your journey, whether through their products, the values they hold to, or the knowledge Somer has gained through interaction with door dealers across the world, please reach out to the team at your convenience. They are here to serve you. Again, thank you from the entire Somer team. Check them out at somerusa.com. Tell them Ryan sent you.
I want to cover a couple misconceptions about AI that I think are also important. I have people reach out to me because I own a marketing agency called Markenuity. And they'll ask me questions like, hey, are you guys using AI to write content? Number one. Number two, are you guys using AI to build websites, or can I just use AI to build my website? Or number three, can I just use AI to do SEO? Now, I've seen product demos of AI SEO products, and quite frankly, they look a lot like these push button SEO tools that have been around for a very long time. They basically set parameters, right? And then like I'll give you an example. So you have all these like WordPress SEO platforms or plugins, and you can type in like as you're building a page out, it'll give you like a score. Now, these parameters are assuming that SEO is not changing, or they're not able to change fast enough. And I don't see how these tools are very beneficial nowadays, other than the fact that they make it simple to enter in all the information for people who aren't developers. But to be able to get like a valuable score off of that, and it's just not a realistic thing, right? Because the process of that is AI, like Google does an update or search changes. Well, it's going to take that company some time to figure that out, make modifications, send it to the dev team, test it, launch it. And by that time, it's probably changed two or three other times. Now, this is where AI comes in, right? So AI can try to track the algorithm and make those recommendations quicker. Now, the negative to this is Google's changing things and undoing things sometimes. And so it could potentially do that. But then Google also does these like rollouts where they're not rollouts across the country all at one time. They'll roll out like things in groups and regions by different business types. So can we get AI to recognize rollouts by business type in geographical areas? And if it's applied in one area, will it help in another area? So it's becoming more and more complex. Now, AI is certainly capable of being able to figure all that out. And with some certain parameters and prompts, could possibly do it. I just have not seen a good platform yet to be able to manage that. Now, there's probably people building this for certain, and I think it's probably great. The challenge also is, how do you get AI to write content in a way where it's true and real? Now, you might be able to have the AI do some technical stuff right now, but the writing still hasn't caught up, in my opinion. We're very close, but we're not there yet. We will test it occasionally and write content and then have it, write its comparison. And there'll be some things in some of these like we prompt it very well, but the feedback that we get from it sometimes has bad information, things that aren't even true. And then you can even ask it and it'll admit sometimes that it's wrong after checking it, but it won't do that unless you challenge it. So it's still not perfect enough to replace your marketing for, but probably not far off, just to be honest. Now, AI is too complex or expensive is another thing that I think people perceive. And in my opinion, it can be complex. But what's really cool about AI is you can ask AI to simplify things and give it your learning level, your technical aptitude, like explain to it, like, hey, explain this to me as if I'm a third grader, right? And let it explain in terms that'll help you understand. And so for that reason, I don't think it's too complex. Now, expensive, possibly, but it really just depends on what you're looking for. Now, I spend close to $1,000 a month on AI tools so that I can learn and use different platforms. And we're going to go over different platforms and what they're best for here in a couple weeks or next week. So, AI, too complex, too expensive? I don't think so, because there's free platforms out there, and also you can buy advanced platforms for very expensive, usually 25, $50 if you're looking for the most updated, most advanced features. All right. So if we're getting started, I want to challenge you real quick. We're going to um, kind of go through the thought process of how to use AI for the first time if you haven't already. I want you to identify repetitive tasks within your business. This could be anything. Meetings. Let's take meetings for an example. Let's say that you have a daily meeting. It's a huddle with your company. All right. So once we identify that we have a meeting, we want to identify any and all challenges within this meeting. So let's take one particular challenge. All right. So we have an issue where we'll discuss a problem in the meeting, we'll address it, but really there's a lack of follow through afterwards and follow up afterwards. So what we're going to do is we're going to research tools to be able to help us not just transcribe the meeting, but actually take action on those meetings. So there's apps out there where you can have AI in your meeting and someone presents a problem. Hey, we have a warranty issue on this particular product. And AI will transcribe that, of course, but then you could say, okay, great. Let's get the warranty department and the installer all on a meeting within the next 2 to 3 days. AI, can you schedule a phone call between the three of us where we're all available based on our calendars? Boom, done, right? Now, before that meeting happens, AI can send a breakdown of what was discussed so we're all on the same page and then ask us all to participate in an agenda. And you can even create a framework around that where that agenda has detailed information that will ask each person attending the meeting. So, for example, it may ask the technician, hey, do you have a photo of the damage? Yes. Will you upload that photo here or text it here? Yes. Now I'm just giving examples. I know you may have already a process in this, whatever, but this is just specifically for this meeting and a use case for how to use this. Then it can ask the office staff, have we seen any of these issues in the past? No, this is new. Okay, great. And then based on all these triggers, and we're collecting information and data like customer satisfaction, what's the details. Now, a 30-minute meeting that you might have over the phone can be done in 5 minutes because everyone has provided information prior to the meeting in a very convenient and easy way. Now, you just bought back 25 minutes. And ultimately, once you have that meeting and that conversation, everybody has all the data prior to the meeting. You have the meeting, and then afterwards, you can have AI follow up on the status of that, notify the customer of what we came up with, and when and how it's going to be resolved. That is amazing. Now, lastly, the one thing that I want to encourage you to do is start learning AI now and then have your staff learn AI. Because for every staff member that learns AI, they'll be able to duplicate, quadruple the amount of output that they have. So, if I'm going to leave you with anything, I'm going to leave you with this. Make sure that you learn AI, how it works, and find the tools that you like best, but also have your team train on AI so that they can get good at it and then they can duplicate their efforts. Either people are going to adopt AI or not, but your employees who do are going to be significantly more productive than those that don't. So I'm here to tell you that in 2025, if you have a one goal, it should be to fully understand AI and utilize it and implement it within your organization and have all of your employees utilizing it. Now, I know what you're thinking. You might have some older employees that have a hard time adjusting or adapting this technology. And I understand that. And what I'm telling you is you can teach them this too, because AI can adapt to the person. So teach them how to use it. Like I told you earlier, have it, teach them how to write prompts that allows them to engage with AI in a simple and easy format on a fourth grade or third grade or second grade level. Right. And so I think all those are great ways for you to get started, because by the end of 2025, this thing's growing so fast. I promise you it's not a fad. Promise, promise, promise that AI is not a fad. It's not going to come and go. It is here to stay and it is growing quickly. So I strongly suggest that you adopt it, learn it. Don't be afraid of it. Maybe take a week or a month off and deep dive into it and figure everything out that you need to figure out so that you can implement it and you don't get passed by. Because I'm telling you right now, those who reduce their overhead by using AI or can work faster and communicate quicker will grow their companies at a rate never seen before compared to those who don't. Now, before we leave, I got a couple questions that came in that I want to answer, and then we'll wrap up. Number one, what steps are people like yourself taking to ensure AI won't eliminate employment for hardworking people in the future? This is a great question. And unfortunately, it is going to eliminate hardworking people if they don't learn how to adopt AI into their daily routine. So, as we discussed, I think it's just really important that we enable that and encourage our employees to learn and adopt. Now, we also want to teach them safe uses for AI, because we don't want to be uploading uh, important information regarding your business or your customers that AI a lot of times is open to the web. So you upload things that are personal could cause some problems. Now, there's ways to do that, but right now we're talking about basics. And so you want to keep critical information about your business or your personal life off of AI. So I think the best steps is to learn and then train your staff on AI, because now, as you're scaling, you're growing your business, instead of hiring additional people, you can use those people to duplicate their efforts and you can keep them. So I do think eventually, I mean, we're talking like way out, Tesla's launching robotics with AI built into it. And I think one of the greatest uses for things like this, when it talks about like jobs, and this is really unfortunate, but you're talking about they're going to be taking away the entire transportation market, right? You're going to have truckers, uh, you know, have being able to accomplish more. They can sleep while their truck drives. Limitations and regulations are going to be lifted from the individual and more onto the truck. Um, you're going to have robotics in the house, keeping you from having to wash and fold clothes, do the dishes, freeing you up for more time with your family or actually being productive at work. You are going to have, I think home services is going to be in the next probably 15, 20 years. You're no longer going to have a field full of 30 people. You're going to have like five of the best who also understand how to communicate with AI, and they're going to manage robotic AI driven technicians who You don't have to worry about showing up, doing things wrong. They record everything, every interaction with the customer, everything they do at the house. Um, and there's going to be some challenges with that, but I think by the time we get to that point, we'll have a lot of that figured out. So I do think that we're going to eliminate hardworking staff over the years unless they adapt and adopt now. So if you're a technician in the field, I would certainly learn AI, how to communicate with it, and learn about your trade, because the transfer of information from your brain to AI is going to happen eventually. And then if you understand and embrace AI, then I think you can be more valuable to your company than you could if you kept that information to yourself. So that's my answer. Next question. I would like to know more about how we use AI in office automation and training future employees. How can we use it to best harness and leverage all the information sitting in the cloud? I know we produce a lot of ideas, process system, product, and programs that, if implemented, would take some of the day to day frustrations away if we could put in front of people when they need it. How can we put all that info in our own GPT? Would be a great start, I think. Okay, so this is kind of similar to what we were talking about earlier. Creating a database. So you can have an internal database where AI doesn't go outside of, right? And then you can create all these SOPs and systems and stuff. Think like Trainual, where it's like a database of information, but instead of having to like figure out what to search in order to get that information, you could literally text or call it or whatever. Instead of calling your boss, you're stuck in the field on a problem. Hey, I need to figure out how to fix this Marantech opener. It's doing XYZ. It searches the database. It says, hey, we've pulled this information. Here's how you handle this. Now, that troubleshooting can take 10 seconds as opposed to calling your boss, them not picking up the phone, you playing phone tag, you calling Marantech, waiting for, God knows how long to get an answer back. And that's not a knock on Marantech. I'm just using them as an example. It could be replace Marantech with any supplier, right? Sometimes they're available, sometimes they're not. So, long story short, I think that having your own database where your staff is trained and can request things from it will dramatically reduce the load on your management staff, ultimately allowing them to develop and implement new systems, processes, and growth strategy. And so I think things are going to shift more towards growth while AI implements more of the systems and processes. So I hope I answered that question well, but I would certainly start training your staff on AI as we talked about earlier. Someone asked about quantum computing, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time here because I think this uh, is it an issue or is it a thing? Yes, it is a thing. Quantum computing has been something that people have been trying to crack for a very long time, and something that you probably should keep an eye on. But once it's here, all of the digital world, um, your bank accounts, like everything's at risk. So we're going to have to figure out different ways to encrypt data because quantum computing can crack passwords, keys, whatever, all within a matter of seconds. So not going to dive too far into that. They are getting closer and closer to being able to use quantum computing, but I don't believe anybody has cracked the code yet. All right, last question. I'm curious how AI will affect search and SEO. Younger generation are moving away from Google and ask Alexa and Siri for everything. And I was told they will be using AI to offer service if someone was to say, Alexa, who can fix my garage door? Just checking to see if she's checking. All right. These are great questions. And I think there's a multi-part answer to this. So I'm curious how AI will affect search and SEO. Younger generations are moving away from Google and ask Alexa and Siri for everything. Okay. Alexa and Siri and all AI is still using the foundational groundwork set by Google search is a big majority of this. So AI and Siri are grabbing information online, like it's a more advanced way of searching. But Siri and Alexa are dependent on the information that it's gathering. And right now, it's been tasked with searching the web, Yelp, search results, Google reviews, Google business profile, all these things, right? And so, although it's a newer technology, they're still using old foundational platforms to get the information and pull it and give it to you. So, how does that affect SEO and search? I think it's more important to do SEO, more important to get reviews, more important to find differentiating factors. And that way, more of your search results will come up when you do voice searches and use AI to look for a business. As a matter of fact, we started researching this this year, and we found, I think it's like 80 something percent of our customers at Markenuity actually rank number one for primary keyword in their area on ChatGPT, which is super cool. And I've heard rumors. I don't know if the statistic is true, but at the growth rate that ChatGPT search is having, I've been told that it will surpass Google search by 2030. And will that make Google search irrelevant? No, actually, it won't. But Google search will probably fall to the background if they don't come up with the solution quickly. But ChatGPT is highly reliant on Google and the database that it's built. So Google may fall to, like, instead of being a consumer platform, it may fall to more of a background platform where developers are spending their time, and AI is using that information to display and produce content for you. There was a second part to this, and I was told they will be using AI to offer services. If someone was to say, Alexa, who can fix my garage door? Yes, you do have different types of searches. So you've got to figure out, number one, what are people saying instead of typing? Because the way we type is not the way we talk a lot of times. And we've adjusted the way we type because short form and the way Google search is. And so we don't speak that way. So like voice search is important and it will pull data. I would recommend actually doing these searches on your own. So go to ChatGPT and do a search. You even have situations now where Google is displaying AI in search results and I have seen recommendations of businesses and not just generals. So if you do a search like who can fix my garage door, there may be a recommendation for a garage door company at the top of that search result via AI. Now, that's a big deal because if there's only one, then that means all the others are completely irrelevant. And this is going to completely disrupt you and your business. I think they're gathering the data from your business and all the information surrounding it and the other businesses in your area. It's not perfect. I've seen some errors in this area where it's recommended businesses a little bit outside of the area where there was very reputable companies within the area. But long story short, they're going to hone this in and they're going to get it figured out. And I think it's going to be a big deal. We're already finding some commonalities between what's ranking really well in ChatGPT right now. And obviously that'll change as things develop. And I don't know that we'll ever figure out like the algorithm, but they're definitely going after trust cues. And so some of the key things that we've seen that have been what we believe to be reasons that it's ranking well, local, small business, family owned terminology seems to do very well. If you have a lot of like trust and social cues on your website, that tends to do very well. If you have things like certifications or accreditations, that does very well, which bodes well for IDA. And there's a couple others. I won't share them now because we are trying to stay ahead of the curve. But those are some of the key things that I think are really important. And as ChatGPT becomes more and more popular, we've seen those things help rank businesses and some of the common things that we've seen that create that. Now, it's not a perfect science. It's better. It's different in some areas than others. But according to like 80%, 90% of our clients, we're ranking number one for primary keyword. And that is some of the common themes that we've seen with AI. So I hope this episode was great. We're going to take another deep dive next week. We're going to continue down this AI path for a while. And I'm doing this because I want to really encourage you to adopt it, because I do believe it's going to be the great separator within the next 2 to 3 years. And it is upon us. We've got to stop. We've got to research. We've got to adopt and adapt this new platform of technology. This is a game changer, much like Google search was when it launched in 1998. This is the new Google. So make sure that you handle it right.